Good Monday morning. Good Monday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV or Chaos. No, don't start that. Or Chaos TV. Here we are on the Monday morning, 2nd of June, getting the Monday going, of going to work and getting back in the routine to do what you got to do to pay the bills. Hopefully pay the bills. Yeah, so dogs were in here last night. A lot of peeing, little pooping as usual. Got my nice little coat rack set up for me here now to protect all my gear. And yeah, so not radical, not diarrhea, thank God. But anyways, gotta get over to the house, and then I gotta get the morning going. Man, June. To me, June seems to be one of the fastest months of the year. Maybe it's because as I was back, just growing up, and typically for where I lived, the June was the month you got out of school. And I've always more or less lived in the more northeast area most of my life. And typically we didn't get out of school until about the middle of June. And then it just seemed like, poof, June was gone. And for me already, with the schedule having to be down in Florida next week, I just can already sense on how this is just going to be poof, gone. It's going to be, it's already the third week, fourth week of June before you know it. So I think I'd just be curious if others feel like June is just one of these months, because it's the beginning of summer, everybody's getting out, and all the kids have their chance to have some freedom. All the parents get to go nuttier because their kids are home, and they got to figure out where they're going to take them to get rid of them so you don't go nuts. All right, called summer camps, summer activities, summer travel. All right, so Tango was locked in last night just because he got caught up in the whole gypsy fiasco. And I'll let him all in because I don't feel like finding out gypsies out in the road 5 seconds later. All right, be right back. All right, let's get back over to the barn on what a beautiful Monday. I mean, incredibly beautiful. This reminds me of back in 1982, 83, say more like 1983, I guess, when we used to have a boat. Dad had a boat, and I had good friends, and I remember going out in June, and it was chilly. I mean, it really was chilly on Potomac River, but that reminds me of the probably blue sky. And a friend of mine and some other gals and my dad took us out in a boat, and I just remember such a beautiful June day, and but it was just so chilly on the river. So, all right, hey, a big shout out to Gail and Brian. Gail's Food and Stuff, and then Brian's had his The Simple Homeowner YouTube channel as well. They're YouTubers, and they went to the car show yesterday, and then we went to lunch afterwards. And I bought my own lunch, but Gail really wanted to buy me a nice lunch, and so she donated $24.99 to the G28 car show yesterday, and then the Gail's Food and Stuff and Brian video about Brian's brand new Triumph Rocket, beautiful motorcycle, GT model. So I've got the Rocket R. He's a GT, more the gentleman's motorcycle. But thank you for donating $24.99 to my channel. Anybody out there, you can send me $1. You can send me whatever you want. I mean, I go through a lot of work in my life to bring you guys content, so it's really more of your call that you just continue to help me keep the channel going and stay motivated. No, stay here. Come on, Willow. Come on, Willow. You guys see, I'm going to feed you guys. Come on, you're hungry. No, come on. So thank you very much. And we had a great time. We really did. Being able to talk and chit chat and and those car shows. That's what you get out of those. You develop relationships. Joe came down from where he lives in Maryland. Hey, stop that. He's a really good guy, and that I met through the car show. And he actually went with Joe and I. Jillian and Joe actually went with I to BK. Hey, stop it! BK Video or BK Bagels. Like, this is just out of no. These guys, it's a lot of work, man. A lot of work. All right, let me get some food. What happened? What's going on here? Let me guys get you some food. You're hungry, so I went light on that yesterday, but it still didn't matter. They still did all their business. So, so the car show overall was a nice car show. But I was talking a lot to Joe, and I was talking a lot to Gail and Brian. So it kind of distracted a little bit. That I mean, I did definitely do some walk around car conversations, but it wasn't like I do sometimes because of it was just the enjoyment of hanging out with Gail and Brian and Joe. All right, so it's never ending me trying to bring you guys content that intrigues you to watch my channel. This Camaro Z28. One of my subscribers, asked, "What's your favorite in the fleet?" It's right there. That's it. So if everything else went, this I would work my ass off to keep this. This is such an incredibly nice car. It is so much fun and doesn't have all the damn technology. Like yesterday, I didn't put my seatbelt on from driving from point A to point B. Look, the barrel is empty. I got to go get food today. Point A to point B, it was just a little, a few miles up the road, and the thing's not chiming, not making all these stupid noises. So it really is nice that with this car here, you don't have all this damn aggravation. It doesn't just have all this damn technology. So that car there, but it's a fun car to drive. It's incredible. That car has 17,000 miles on it. You would never know that. If you got in this car and you did not know the mileage on it, you'd have no idea this car has 17,000 miles on it. It doesn't rattle, no shakes, no weird issues. So it's just incredible on how that car really is. It's just an incredibly well-built car. And yeah, would I let my Hellcat go? Sure. Would I let my Dark Horse Mustang go? I would, because you can buy another Mustang. You can supercharge. You can get another Dark Horse. You're not going to be able to get that car back. I've talked about it 50 times on my channel. And so to answer that question, there you go. So now, here I've got a problem, right? What is my problem? I have dogs that can't self-contain themselves because the guy that's raising them doesn't understand how to raise dogs, not to crap all over your garage every night, your barn, your shop, wherever you may call it. So I have an ongoing problem. I have a problem of these dogs being managed while I try to get away, which see, there's just so many variables here. Brian works for me. So how's Brian going to get in and out of the shop on his own to go to work for me without me being here? So there's a whole other variable. And sure, but Brian has to open the barn doors. I mean, could Brian do it? He can do it, but it's going to be challenging. So, because the dogs, when I leave town, the poodles and the Wheaton Terriers, they're always up in the house. So, when Joe used to work for me, Joe didn't have to deal with the poodles because they were at the house and the wife was at work. So, if the wife's at work, it wasn't a big deal. The wife would let them out in the morning, put them back, let them out at nighttime. These guys here, I guess we're going to have to transition them to the house. And I guess we're just going to have to have the wife, we're just going to have to put the crates inside the house where they're going to have to be contained throughout the day. Otherwise, there's just no doubt in my mind they're going to destroy the house. They're going to eat the furniture. They're going to eat the walls. They're going to defecate. And I do have 3 cages, but I mean, they're big dogs now. I mean, I think I have 2 big-ass cages upstairs, so I don't know. That's where the challenge lies into this whole equation, unless Julia comes up, and we don't know yet. She hasn't made a decision yet where she's going to go down or stay home, so I don't know that answer yet. She's thinking about it, and so unless she comes along and helps out, it's going to be very challenging, and it's really going to limit me to how long I can be down in Florida. But it's all changed, so many things have changed down there where it isn't what it was. My mother's gone. And so it just isn't really, I'm not going to be down there with motorcycles. I mean, so there's just so many things, the dynamics have all changed. And so now you hear me saying problem. And that's what I thought this morning when I woke up. I thought a good conversation. And this is what happens with me, just digging for ideas. At the last minute, I start go through the index of my brain. And I think, what can we talk about? I'm thinking, you know what? Problem. I was thinking to myself, the last 5 years, if you think like if you go 5 years ago, really, February and March of 2020, you think about this country had a major problem. It was so major, it was life-changing for so many people. We had a pandemic coming to our country. I thought, wow, isn't it incredible? Since 2020, under Donald Trump's final term, or I should say previous run as the President of the United States, he was gifted a pandemic. And a guy by the name of Dr. Fauci was right by his side. And there was another lady there too. And so I was thinking to myself, wow, it's incredible all the problems we have witnessed just in the last 5.5 years. If you just really step back and think about all the problems that happened from 2020 to 2025. And the irony of it is, it's all government problems. It's all the government, in so many ways, created problems to the society that we live in our country and other countries as well. Because, as you know, the Wuhan lab, apparently that was funded by our country through Obama administration, Dr. Fauci, Ron Paul, or what's his son's name? Or is that him? Can't even think of he's already grilled Dr. Fauci of being part of that lab, of really, in so many words, creating the virus, because it's a biological weapons lab in so many ways. So there's, you can talk about that all day long, which I'm not. Point is, so under Donald Trump, 2020, first thing that happens on his watch is he's got a major problem of a major pandemic. And you and I have a major problem because we don't know what the hell this thing is. And the media machine is lighting this thing up like never ever seen, where you truly believe if you touch a surface of this virus, you're going to die. So it was radical. It was very, scary. Being the business I'm in, it was very, very scary, because the business I'm in deals with the public touching money all day long and touching my machines all day long. And so that's a direct, impact to my business. It was so scary. Joe, who worked for me at that time, 10 years, he abruptly left my company for the fear of getting this unknown virus and possibly dying. So yes, this was real stuff, which then I had a problem. I'm a guy working by myself, but my problem, my business, just the lights turned off. The gas station industry, the lights turned off. And why? Well, because nobody was going to work. The problem was so radical, they sent everybody home to hibernate in their homes. And then that created a huge problem. They sent all the kids home to be isolated because they didn't want this virus to spread into a pandemic where, tens of millions of people would die. You remember all this, everybody? Man, wow. And so now, but it created the media legacy, the perfect movie theater for you and I to get the bag of popcorn out and start to watch TV 24/7. And everybody, all they listened to, they were always looking for the update of what the hell this was. And all you heard through the legacy media was, you're going to die. You're going to die. And then the next problem was, if you sneeze or breathe next to somebody, they're going to have the virus. So you got to put a mask on. So now, wow. So then you move forward. What's the odds of a guy named George Floyd, and what's the guy's name, Chave, or whatever the name, the police officer's name was, happened to be the main entertainment of the movie theater for the legacy media? What's the odds of a police officer that's white and a black guy having an altercation where everybody pulls their phone out, and you get to see the live altercation on how the white guy kneels on the black guy's head, and the guy dies. Wow. You couldn't create this story. If you were a person right now trying to think, what type of movie could I make? You know, the problem movie. You couldn't even think this through the way it all played out. So now, majority of people are sitting at home being told 24/7 you're going to die from coronavirus, and then that kind of gets broken away to that now the police don't like black people and they intentionally kill them. So then it turns into the George Floyd whole incident totally revs to the max a organization called BLM, Black Lives Matter. So all of a sudden, you and I, had you ever heard of Black Lives Matter prior to George Floyd dying? I haven't. So now all of a sudden, in the summer of love, 2020, there's this organization that is in the streets with signs that says BLM. And those signs are implying that the police don't care about black people. It's implying that they intentionally kill black people. So now we have a whole race scene beginning in the summer of 2020. And an Antifa shows up. You ever heard of them prior to that time? Out in the West Coast. And this is all under Donald Trump's watch. Meanwhile, people are pounding their fist on how Donald Trump is handling the virus. They think he's doing a terrible job. People are dying. And people feel like he doesn't have any control. He doesn't have it under control. And he's doing a very bad job. People feel like he's the problem with the racism in our country. And remember, you hear this word, I'm saying problem. Everything's a problem. So under Donald Trump's last year in office, he has on his doorstep, all it is problems. Everything's problems. And then you go to the elections. You can go to the fighting in the streets. There was a major problem because people were protesting in the streets. People were fighting in the streets. And everybody was upset. A lot of you were upset because the people wanted to protest in the streets weren't being locked down because of COVID. But yet the people that just wanted to get out and about and go do things, the police showed up at your house and arrested you. Yeah, in so many ways, a little far-fetched. But the whole point is, it was always very interesting that if you wanted to get a gathering at a church, you would be shut down. But if you wanted to go protest in the streets over George Floyd, it was okay. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I mean, just go back and start recording, open up the recordings in your brain. So now through the whole summer of love, there was problems all over our country of cities being lit on fire, people being killed. Now we go to the election year. We go to November election year. We've got a major problem. What is the problem? Donald Trump and others swear up and down that the voting machines have a problem. That for some reason at 1 or 2 in the morning, all these voting machines in these key states, swing states, started showing incredible voting tallies coming in to favor Joe Biden. When you and I went to bed on that Tuesday evening at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, it really showed that Donald Trump had won the election and has been reelected. But then by the next morning, you wake up and Donald Trump didn't win. Joe Biden did. And now there's now an argument that there was a major problem with the voting machines. And it gets radical, where you're getting everybody riled up. You're getting the pillow man, Mike Lindell. He's so riled up. He gets into this thing that he's now literally sacrificing his business to oppose the election and start making claims that the Dominion voting machines and the other companies' voting machines, where now lawsuits are being filed against the voting machines, and then the companies that own the voting machines are filing lawsuits, blah, 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 blah. So then you roll into 2021, where it's the change of administration. And now Donald Trump has been, in so many ways, fueling the fire, how it's a stolen election. So for all his serious followers, they ain't happy. And then the word is out there that if not all the states come to agree on January 6th that it was a legitimate election, the election can be overthrown and thrown back to Donald Trump. And that's where all the electors of each state went to the Capitol on January 6th to all recognize each state's votes and sign the documents to make it a legitimate. My voice is terrible because I have no water. You drink coffee, it just dries you out. But so I got to get a bottle of water over here and start drinking some water. So then the whole January 6th thing was about Donald Trump wanting people on their own. I'm not sure if he per se pushed the January 6th to be the year of the Capitol, or the Proud Boys, the Oath members, all these really radical Trumpsters, MAGA organizations decided to show up down there. So January 6th, as we know, was a huge problem because all these participants have shown up to vent their frustration of this election being a false election. And wouldn't you know it, all of a sudden, it turns into chaos. There's a problem. The participants decide to enter the Capitol. But there's a problem because there's not enough police force there to contain the crowd for them not to get in. There's a problem. Ashley Babbitt had a problem. She wanted to get into that Capitol so badly, she got killed. You just scratch your head like, what are you going to do once you get inside the Capitol? I mean, what's going on? So, and once again, that's the rabbit hole, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. But here's the point. So now, January 6th has created a huge problem. Unbeknownst to those participants, they all have a huge problem on their hand for the next many, many years that they've been caught red-handed participating in the Capitol, or the January 6th, or whatever you want to call it, that you're going to have the FBI, CIA, everybody's going to be coming visiting you, and you probably are going to jail. You got a problem, especially if you took your cell phone and you did any video or texting when you're down there, especially if you took your cell phone or you made a purchase in D.C., they know who you are, where you are, and you're going to get a visit. And 1,000+ people did. I think 900 people went to jail. I'm not even sure the exact number. I mean, it's incredible what played out. So all of a sudden, those people had a problem. So now you go through the transition over to the Joe Biden administration, and they're so concerned about the radical unhappiness of our country, they put the military down around the Capitol. They actually put military fencing, or what do you want to call it, metal fencing all around the Capitol. But you didn't see that. The legacy media didn't show you on how there was now the Army on a full-time basis surrounding the Capitol because of the fear of our political leaders being attacked. But you didn't see a lot of that. So now Joe Biden comes in office, and Joe Biden has a problem. He's dealing with the ongoing illegal immigration. Joe Biden even has, in so many ways, a bigger problem. He's got an unhappy Russia and Ukraine war on his doorstep. But then he even has a bigger problem. He's been brought to the forefront of being a president of our country for the green agenda activists that want to ensure that this green agenda movement begins and we start transitioning away from the fossil fuels, and that us Americans become better creatures of habit and we change our lifestyle. So Joe Biden now is really given the pen to sign the Inflation Reduction Act, aka the new Green Deal. And now, under Joe Biden's term, he has a problem. He has to convince our country that this radical $858 billion Inflation Reduction Act is a great idea to propel us to be one of the faster nations in the world to adapt and change our creature of habits of how we eat and live and what we drive. And now we get the electric vehicles, electric batteries, to entice those to come here He's handing out billions of dollars for infrastructure to be built for electric cars, electric batteries, solar panels. But then he has another major problem. During the pandemic, we had a shortage of cars. We had a shortage of toilet paper. We had a shortage of water. So under Joe Biden, he was still feeling the pandemic challenges, and we had a major problem with semiconductors. So now Joe Biden is hearing nothing but complaining of big companies they can't get semiconductors fast enough, that now he creates the Chips and Science Act, a $58 billion bill that's going to reward companies like TSMC, Taiwan Semi-Manufacturing Company, to put infrastructure in our country and build semiconductors here locally on our side to resolve the challenge of getting semiconductors built quick enough to support the supply and use. And other companies are supposedly going to come along with that. But he's got a problem. Our country doesn't have the talent to run these manufacturing facilities. And TSMC sees that very quickly, and it gets in a major blowout with unions about how they're building the factory, and they got a problem. So then for Joe Biden, under his tenure, you go to the 2022, Ukraine decides to go up against Russia and go into a war. But they got a problem. Zelensky has a problem. He doesn't have the money nor the military power or weapons to fight Russia. So he's got a problem that turns into our problem. Our problem is we got to give this guy military weapons and money to fight Russia. So now Joe Biden has on his agenda, not including the withdrawal of Afghanistan that Joe Biden pulled off, and he had a problem. The way they pulled everybody out of Afghanistan didn't go as planned. Or did it go as planned? That's very debatable. But he had a major problem on pulling out of Afghanistan. So now we got a problem with the world at war because of Ukraine and Russia. But now the next big problem he has is how he puts sanctions on Russia. So he decides that putting oil sanctions on Russia will solve the problem. But it only creates a problem for you and I to pay the most money for energy in modern times. For you and I, we all of a sudden see $3 gas go to $4, $5, $6 a gallon fuel, diesel fuel, and then it creates so-called possible shortages because the pandemic's ongoing, blah, 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 blah. So you and I now have a problem because now are you not only maybe unemployed, but now you have to pay more money for your electric, for your oil, for your gas, talking natural gas, your gasoline for your car, blah, blah, blah. But then we even have a bigger problem. Everything around us is going up, becoming more expensive because energy is proportional to more things being more money. And we've got another problem. So many people have been laid off. The whole infrastructure from the pandemic has downsized companies where they don't have the workforce to meet the supply and demand. As we start to transition slowly back to trying to get back in to the offices. But there's another big problem. All the infrastructure of the offices has been depleted because everybody's been sent home and everybody's working at home. So for all the people that made a living off of everyone went to work every day, they got a problem. They don't have a job anymore. And for all the people there living at home, taking care of their kids, they got a problem. Or do they have a problem? Yeah, that's very debatable. I was very surprised that you didn't hear about crazier things happening. So it's just one problem after another problem. And then, as we know, we have a vaccine problem. Donald Trump wanted to do the fast-track vaccine. Well, Donald Trump didn't stay around long enough for his fast-track vaccine, and the Democratic Party had a big problem with that. They didn't trust the vaccine. This guy was a madman. He's going to kill you. He's made a vaccine. Remember, the Democratic Party hit on the head. Donald Trump's going to make a vaccine that's going to kill you. Do not take it. Ooh, wait, breaking news. Joe Biden's in office now, and he now has a mandatory vaccine mandate that you have to take a vaccine if you work for a major company, federal employee, blah, 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 blah. You got a problem. You got a job now, and you now are being forced to take a vaccine that you don't know if you trust. So we got another problem. People that take the vaccine are getting sicker than they are getting COVID and getting sicker than they had before they took the vaccine. So we got a problem. People are now dividing the country of what makes sense. You're the problem. No, you're the problem. Does everybody remember that? I mean, it was loss of jobs. It was division of families. There were families and friends that broke up friendships because they had a problem. Because either you took the vaccine or you didn't take the vaccine. Wow. Wow. Now we have another problem. The electric vehicle infrastructure in our country isn't here. So for Joe Biden, he has to ramp up. How do they build battery charging stations at a rapid pace like never ever seen? He's got a major problem. It's all electricity. Yeah. Can electricity support the infrastructure of electric batteries on cars? Yeah, we got a major problem. Wow. I mean, I can go on. And the thing is, this video will get very long, which I don't want it to, and I got to go to work. But I think most people are getting the message here. It's incredible how we have witnessed a problem after who created it? Who created it? It's our government. Our government. Everybody looks to the government to resolve your problems. The government creates all of our problems. Yes, the government creates our problems. I think many people understand that. But I mean, oh my gosh. And like I say, I could go on and on and on, but I don't want to. The video gets too long, and I could, then go to the tenure of Joe Biden. We got a problem. Where is the guy? We got a problem. We got a problem. Kamala Harris is running for presidency. We got a problem. We got a problem. Men want to become women. We got a problem. Men want to dress like women. We got a problem. Men want to be in the women's bathrooms. We have a transgender problem. Blah, 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 blah. We have a problem in the sports of young people. The guys showing up playing on the opposing team to beat the hell out of them. We got a problem. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so like I say, I could go on and on and on, and I'm not. I'm going to cut it off there, but for yourself, be curious to see if anybody else says, oh yeah, what about that problem? You didn't bring that up, which, yeah, I know. Yeah, so now Donald Trump comes in office. I didn't even bring up the problem of all the illegals, all the sanctuary cities, all of the entitlement to the illegals. I haven't even got into all those problems. And then for Donald Trump to come into office, and I'll just kind of end it here, he's got major problems on his hand. He's had a major problem. The car industry has a major problem on its hand. Now it's called tariffs. Now it's called reverse the green agenda. Now it's called get rid of all these illegals. Blah, 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 blah. That's it. Appreciate you watching my channel. Hope everybody enjoys the conversations, and just try to get creative. And it's incredible how we take political positions against each other, but the politicians and the government is the whole problem. But you and I will become enemies because you're favoring one side versus the other. We all got a problem, everybody. God bless.